Weddings are a magical ceremony where two people decide they want to be considered a package deal before whatever god they believe in, and whatever local government official will have to split their assets when they split their holy matrimony over an unsanctioned sleepover. Weddings are incredibly diverse, from the flavor of religion to the flavor of cake, but one constant across all weddings seems to be that every participant must anamorph into the most degenerate version of themselves for our viewing entertainment. As you might have guessed from my sardonic intro, I'm not exactly the biggest fan of weddings. Having 407 wedding guests, all of which will be giving your little marriage party a vicious evaluation on the car ride home, ogling you while you declare on the record that you are for sure, bumping uglies with the person across the priest from you, has always struck me as kind of weird. Personally, I'd prefer to disappear with my lover in the dead of night, leaving my friends and family members to postulate what shenanigans we might be up to in the brooding, abandoned cliffside castle we took up residence in. But even my cold, dead heart, still frozen, like the chicken you forgot to take out of the freezer for your mom, you're welcome, has been moved by TikTok videos of happy couples tying the knot, delivered in digestible, aesthetically pleasing 60-second clips. But those are not the ones we're watching today. No, all of these are f***ing disasters. So this little clip unlocked a world of hetero horror that I was initially unaware of, which is the apparently very common trend of grooms using the cake cutting to absolutely ruin the moment and embarrass the bride. It's like watching a toddler smear their very first birthday cake all over their high chair, except it's even less cute. The vibe is immediately yucky and awkward, and the bride is very visibly upset because a cake that the couple probably spent hundreds of dollars on now looks like it would be eligible to receive a veteran's discount. Super cringe. As a professional hater, I recommend a speedy divorce.
She tells him directly not to cake her face. So instead he physically overpowers her and ruins her hair and makeup. She walks away embarrassed and upset, and he doesn't even give a He doesn't respect her at all, and it shows.
Well, I didn't realize you could get the ick on someone else's behalf, but here we are. She tells him not to shove the cake in her face, and he decides to turn his wedding into a WWE match. Congrats, you're a big strong man. Here's your award. It says, "I shoved cake in my wife's face when she asked me not to, and 3 people laughed. Why do we even have this award?" In this situation, the joke is clearly at the bride's expense. Her being upset is what is so gosh darn ha-ha funny. Now she has to disappear into the bathroom so she doesn't cry in front of her guests, while the maid of honor desperately tries to pick chocolate out of her eyelashes. Sit in my metaphorical expensive armchair and psychoanalyze, but I feel like these cake fight videos are massive red flags. If you can't respect your wife's no over something as silly as cake, it's not a great sign that you're gonna respect more important boundaries later on in the relationship. I mean, if you value the brief adrenaline rush of a messy practical joke to the point where you are shoving your bride to the floor while she begs you to stop, I feel like you might need a little trip to an actual psychiatrist. I know there are gonna be a lot of men watching this, scratching their patchy noggins with the controller that left a hole in the wall next to them, wondering why these women are getting so emotional over just a little cake on their face. It's quite simple. Unlike the groom, who will get an A+ grade if he can stand at the altar sober, brides are pressured to spend a lot of time and a lot of money looking absolutely perfect for their wedding wedding day. In many ways, they are the face of the event, and it makes sense that they would not want that face to have cake shoved up the nostrils. Yeah, so this dude was so determined to win the cake fight that his wife bled all over her wedding dress, so that's cool. This is another pattern that I see in a lot of these videos, is that even if the bride is a good sport and is enthusiastically participating in the cake fight, the groom can never let her win. These grooms are so terrified of being emasculated, I guess, by the last faceful of cake, that they often escalate this flirty little ritual to the point where they actually hurt the bride. I mean, at this point, why are we wasting everybody's time? Just dab a little buttercream on the arm and give her the people's elbow for maximum efficiency. She smudged a little icing on him, and he launched the entire cake at her head. That seems like a reasonable response. Now, I don't know anything about marriage, but for the next few seconds, let's pretend I do. I think that a relationship where one person cannot lose to the other, even in friendly competition, is doomed to fail. If you're the type of guy who turns a harmless little game into maybe you should stay at your mom's house for a little while, you force your partner to choose between putting on a losing performance to stroke your ego or risk disturbing the domestic peace and getting an entire cake chucked at their head. It's a lose-lose situation, and if you love someone, you probably shouldn't do that to them. But before I continue to play the unlicensed marriage counselor, I'd like to take a second to tell you about today's sponsor, Aura. The other day I looked myself up because I'm a self-obsessed maniac, and I was kind of freaked out to find that there were a lot of sites that seemed to know a lot about me. Some sources were hilariously wrong, but others were scarily close to listing my exact name, age, and address. There are creepy people on the internet who do creepy things, and I don't want them finding me or my family because that's freaking creepy. While you might not have your face pasted all over the internet, you and your family members' private information is still at risk. That's because data brokers make mountains of moolah selling our information to spammers, scammers, and stalkers. Aura can submit opt-out requests on your behalf to get your information taken down from these sketchy sites, but there is also so much more they can do to protect you and your loved ones online. They offer parental controls, antivirus, VPN, password management, identity theft insurance, and many other services without forcing you to manage multiple apps. It's really easy to set up, and you get everything in one place at one affordable price. Don't wait. You can go to aura.com/funkyfrog to start your 2-week free trial today, or click the link in the description. Once again, the bride is the butt of the joke. Everyone else gets to sit back in their stiff church pews, nudging their own wives who they also resent for clipping their bachelor wings. Despite the fact that men benefit massively from marriage, saving thousands of dollars a year on cooking, cleaning, childcare, and physical services provided by their wives, who, by the way, also have full-time jobs, we all still have to pretend that a promise of commitment to the person who picks your dirty underwear off the floor every day is somehow a tragic burden. Little pranks like this remind us that men don't see marriage as gaining a life partner, but as losing their freedom.
I still can't believe my husband did this at our wedding.
No, you don't understand. I can't be an active participant in my own wedding when there are lean, muscled, sweaty men running around on a field just begging me to watch them. I'm sure that on certain sides of the internet, specifically the side that smells like BO and crunchy socks, this would be considered what is called a hardcore alpha move. However, all I'm seeing is a 5-year-old who can't make it through dinner without Coco Melon playing on their iPad. If I am forced to politely endure someone's wedding and I look over and the host is watching sports on his phone, not only am I leaving early, but I am also stealing as much silverware as I can possibly fit on my person, which is more than you're probably thinking.
Cynthia Umunzi is her name. She's actually had to take this down off of TikTok because as she's walking back down the aisle, her husband is holding her hand. With his left hand, he's on his phone checking messages.
Have you tried soaking him in rice? Or perhaps turning him off and on again? I think for a lot of the videos we've seen, despite a concerning pattern, an argument could be made that these grooms were not being intentionally hurtful. This, on the other hand, is a level of targeted disrespect that is quite simply oozing with malice. He needs her and everyone else there to know that this relationship means nothing to him. The only good D in your future is followed by an IVORCE, honey. Divorce. If you're one of those rare oddballs like me who just cannot fathom marrying someone that you neither like nor respect, consider that a lot of these men who hate their marriages were likely presented at some point with an ultimatum by their exasperated girlfriends. Either return to their bachelor life squalor with only their swelling beer gut to woo women into bed with them, or just propose already. In their minds, they've chosen the lesser of two evils, but that doesn't mean they won't drag their feet all the way to the altar. AKA, as you might have heard it called, a shut-up ring. Why you would even value a commitment that was strangled out of someone with an ultimatum, I don't know. Maybe what I'm trying to say with this video is that the entire institution of marriage needs to be reevaluated outside of the patriarchal framework it was built on. The foundation is outdated and mildewy and infested with termites, and the traditions surrounding it are not reflective of a partnership of two equals. This leaves both men and women feeling horribly unfulfilled in what should be a beautiful commitment reduced to a miserable transaction of comfort and servitude with a pretty white bow tied around. More funny wedding videos? Okay, more funny wedding videos. The way this would haunt me until they boxed me up and put me in the ground, and I would still be tossing and turning in my coffin. What would possess you to do such a thing, sir? I just feel like some people come out the oven without self-awareness installed. Congrats on getting married, bro! We're now going to subject you to a medieval shame ritual. You have 10 seconds to get to the limousine. 8, 7, 6. Not only are their clothes, hair, and makeup completely ruined, but the upholstery of that car is going to look like an episode of Euphoria was filmed in the back seat. This is the kind of treatment that should be reserved for politicians only.
2 girls wore white at my friend's wedding. This one wore a alleged wedding dress. The bride got sad.
First off, excellent, succinct delivery. No notes. I want all future messy TikTok drama presented to me in this simple 3 bullet point format instead of a meandering monologue performed in somebody's car. Secondly, if this was my friend's wedding, I would spill so much wine on these women it would look like they were reenacting the scene from Carrie. Both of those are literally wedding dresses. Did the bride yank on your pigtails in pre-K and now is your chance to get her back? Boo, trashy! I just have one question. Who let you out of the house? This is the type of memory that would have me sitting bolt upright in bed, coated in a cold sweat at 3 a.m., and you just posted it for the entire internet to see? What barn did you stumble out of and whose crops did you trample on the way here?
You're not gonna say my son has flaws.
We can leave.
No, I don't have to leave. That dress you're wearing, we paid for.
Let's calm down.
You're not going to ruin my
You
day.
are not gonna say my son has flaws.
You can leave, Judy.
Like you don't have flaws.
You can leave.
You can get out of my wedding now.
I'm not leaving. That
Yes,
dress
you are.
you're wearing, I paid for.
With this.
Get out.
I'm not getting out.
The mother of the groom bringing her A game with that quick run to Walmart for cigarettes and milk fit. Hey girl, hey! My advice to the bride, you just watched your soon-to-be husband freeze like a deer in headlights while his mother publicly berated you. I think it's safe to assume he has not yet been weaned off the teat yet and is likely not a good candidate for marriage. The bouquet toss tradition started back somewhere in the 1300s in England, and it was very competitive because it was thought that catching the bouquet would literally bestow blessings of fertility and the promise of a fruitful marriage. The tradition is said to have started because wedding guests were so desperate to receive good luck from the bride's marriage that they would literally try to rip pieces of her wedding dress off as good luck tokens, thus chunk the bouquet and run. You would think that we as a species might have progressed beyond ancient English peasant behavior by now, but once again, I am mistaken. I'm beginning to lose the strength to withstand this back-to-back secondhand embarrassment, but I think we have enough evidence here to put together what I'd like to call Funky Frogbait's rules for a wedding that doesn't suck. Working title. Rule number 1, actually kind of like the person that you're getting married to, at least a little. It's super uncomfortable and weird for everyone else if you don't. Rule number 2, if someone says, hey, please don't shove cake in my face, don't do it. It's not very nice. Rule number 3, don't wear white to someone else's wedding. I don't even know how this is still a thing. Yes, if you are asking, the dress is too white. You can consider the rest of these rules to be freebies based on my own traumatizing experiences suffering through someone else's magical day. Rule number 4, no kids. Just no kids. But how could you deprive children of the amazing experience of sitting quietly through a stiff formal ceremony they don't understand, and then watching all the adults they've been taught to respect become progressively more intoxicated the rest of the night? Can you hear me rolling my eyes? When it comes to kids at weddings, I say leash them or leave them home. Most kids are fine. Most parents are not. Rule number 5, part A, if you live in the ass crack of the South and it is August, do not have an outdoor wedding. Rule number 5, part B, if you live in the ass crack of the South and it is also the dead of winter, do not have an outdoor wedding. Rule number 6, and this is probably my least popular rule, your ceremony does not need to last longer than 30 to 45 minutes. To the religious people, I am sorry, but unlike God, I have an empty stomach, heels that don't fit, and my back hurts. Can you please just kiss already so we can head to the hors d'oeuvres? But seriously, if you don't want to end up in one of these horrible viral TikTok wedding videos, it's pretty simple. If you're a guest at a wedding, all you have to do is not be a jerk and not try to make the day about yourself. If you're the ones getting married, just make sure there's enough food, and don't hate each other, please. Anyways, don't take this video too seriously. It's just for fun. After all, I'm just a random person on the internet who has no interest in a wedding of my own. What the hell?